today we are going to be discussing the International Women's Day 2025. Don't forget, every 8th of March 2025 is being celebrated as Women's Day. And today we'll be discussing Women's Day with an activist and a women empowerment crusader. How, Mustafa? Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you. Good afternoon all.
All right. Let me start from you. The woman on the street, the woman who sells bean cake, who sells akara, or the small girl who sells granite on the road. Does Women's Day really means anything to those people?
Technically, no. She doesn't know you're celebrating Women's Day. Mm-hmm. She doesn't even know if there's anything Women's Day. Mm. Every day is just a day for her, you know, a day of struggle for her. Mm. She doesn't know technically, but she knows that she's a woman, you know. She knows her daily reality. She knows what she goes through, how she wakes up, how she spends the rest of her day, how she struggles. And she knows how being a woman also connects with that her daily reality. Yes, so in one way, yes. Well, because, you know, we need to understand the context of celebrating International Women's Day is about knowing that women being a part of society, a half of society, also have a value in terms of adding something to the development of that society. And that's how do you end
No, we're going to come to, because this theme is precisely talking about equity, empowerment for women. But before we go into that, let me come to, you know, Amina. Does that resonate with you in any way, the International Women's Day celebration, as a young woman? Does it resonate with you in any way?
Yes, it actually does. And like she rightly said, the women on the streets, do they really know that we are celebrating them? You know, if you go to the media today, like what's happening at the Senate, the National Assembly, is what they are doing to that woman. Are they respecting her? Natasha, is she being respected as a woman in government? The women on the streets, are they being respected? The women in their offices, are they being respected? As we celebrate Women's Day because we give them a large percentage of the world, their contribution to humanity at large is very well, beautiful, and it's well accorded. But do they know, and does the society know, especially men in the society, believe that women deserve to be celebrated?
Okay, if you talk about National Assembly, that's a political terrain, the story you see on the screen is not necessarily the story that happens behind the scene. The senator in question had it very good. She's being given Senate Committee on you know, local content. She's being promoted to international content, and here we are with, you know, all of those allegations and counter allegations. But International Women's Day primarily talks about the struggle of women, the real women themselves. The real women are not the women in National Assembly or in their offices. The real women are the women who are on their farms, who are aching out a living every day of their life. A woman who, from selling just akara, she has been able to train 5-6 children up to university level. These are the real women, not the woman, you and I, who will sit under AC, who have, you know, access to internet, access to, you know, all the amenities that we need, and we will have a forum to speak.
Medina, you know, when we talk about the women's struggle, the woman's struggle is the woman's struggle. There is a ladder in terms of the class of difference in the woman's struggle. But the woman is one gender. We don't have more than two gender. It's you're either a woman or a man. I mean, technically and socioculturally, the way it's the standard acceptance of gender. And in that context, what makes you a woman? You know, what makes you a woman is the reality around how the social culture defines your role as a woman within the society. The woman that is selling, the woman
that is up the ladder.
It doesn't matter. There's a common thread. There's a common thread. There is a common thread. The common thread is that the woman selling akara has her own issues. Peculiar to her because of her class as a woman. The woman that is in the Senate, or that is in, even if she's in a minister or the president's wife, has her own issues that are peculiar to her as a woman, there is a common thread. And what is this common thread? We need to look at it. The common thread is that, first of all, why do we talk about the woman gender? We don't talk about the woman gender, the woman gender of the one selling akara, the woman gender of the one selling in presidency. We talk about the woman gender collective as one group. But within that one group, there is also a class difference that is appreciated. This does not take away the fact that the role of a woman, the way society sculptures, the way a society defines the role of a woman, whether she's selling akara or she's at home, is different. It is the same thing. The woman that is the first lady, for instance, look at it. The woman that is the first lady, she is probably also said, first of all, why is she a first lady? Do you ever have a situation of a first man? There is no first man, even if you become a president. So it doesn't just stop there.
Let me come to the society that you talked about. Has society been fair to those class of women that are down there? Has the society been fair? Has it been fair to those women at the grassroots? Has it been fair to
I will not say it is
every level?
I will not say it is the society. I will rather say
been able to, have we been able to voice their issues? Those of us who have access to, have we been able to promote their struggles and speak to their struggle? Have we been able to do that?
I would rather say it is the system that has not been fair to them, much more than the society not being fair to them.
Who controls the system?
So now let's look at it. Who controls the system? And that's where the class question for me comes in. That sometimes, we have talked about a society that is oppressive, a system that is oppressive. If a society, lives by the rules of a system that is oppressive, lives by the rules of a system that is discriminatory, lives by the rule of a system, that differentiates, lives by the rule of a system, that excludes people, then you don't fault that society, because who is that society? We are all products of that society, but we are not all products of a system of policy that oppresses. We are part of that society, but the roles we play are differentiated by the opportunities that we have and the location where we are, who we are, what we control. So that woman that is selling that akara up down there does not control or does not have access to the kind of opportunities you and I would have. It does not make it her fault. She's a victim, and it does not make me the cause of that her situation. And it does not mean that because I am able to tap into certain opportunities and she's not able to tap into those opportunities, then I could be the fault, or I could also share in the blame of her. No, I cannot, because in my own class, in my own group, in my own situation, in my own state, in my own position, I also face my own demons as a woman. I also face my own situation, my own issues as a woman. So which differentiates me from from a male who will stand. Have you ever found of one thing? Let me tell you one thing. Do you know that, for instance, as an educated woman, right? You claim you are educated, you are polished, sometimes you are even driving your car, right? And you find somebody whom you may want to classify as a lowly person down there. He's not educated, he's not very anything, and then he's just trying to maybe cross the road with his bicycle. And he looks at you and insults you, because she's a woman. Hello?
And that's every day.
So you get, thank you, you get that every day. So now, in terms of class.
My question is,
okay.
I'm going to come to Amina. Every time we blame the system,
yes,
people put the system in place.
Certainly.
The system does not wake up in the morning and operate.
Oh yes.
Because people put the system in place,
yes,
they decide to wind the system to fit their own interests.
Certainly.
And that's where my own issues come into place. When people like you and I and my colleague here have a voice to say, please, certain things need to change, especially as far as the woman is concerned. Even the battering, the rape of, the girl child, it's not enough for the girl child today to hawk pure water or granite or something on the street. She's also been abused for what she does. So how shouldn't we also be fighting a system that is being put into place to continue to marginalize the very, very poor?
Exactly.
Even the demons you fight today as an educated woman is being put in place by some people who felt that you shouldn't go beyond a certain level.
So now we are getting to the core. What is that core demon that stops you, members of the society, from also engaging that system that oppresses that woman down there, that also keeps you in a certain closure? That's patriarchy. The system of patriarchy, the sense of patriarchy, the culture of patriarchy, you know, it's something that runs across. It's something that runs across the society. So whether the woman is is educated or not, is in any high position or not, and the other person, whatever it is, you are a common person, woman. There is something called the patriarchy, and how it affects the way you do, how it affects your action and inaction. So even if you are inactive, even in terms of, or you are weak, you are described as weak, like you're trying to say that we're not doing enough, you know, to checkmate the system or to engage the system and make it be favorable to everybody, particularly the woman that is selling her akara down on the streets there. It is because we are also victims of that patriarchy that has ingrained in us, you know, in our social culture, in our training, you know, in our social orientation, that this is the way you look at the world, you know, and anything outside that way you look at the world is an aberration. Let me give you an example. For instance, when we're talking about Natasha, I don't want to discuss this current issue as a person, you know, around the person. I'd like to look at it around an issue. How many times do we hear of a man who talks about being sexually harassed? It happens every day. Yes, it happens. But how many times? The international statistics has it that about 86% of women, at least once in their lifetime, suffer from sexual harassment from both people who are within, from intimate partners and non-intimate partners, and that this sexual harassment cuts through both public spaces and the private spaces. However, on the other hand, it's less than 40% of men that face sexual harassment, because men are also harassed. But also, if you even go deep down, you know, trying to unpack the nature and the depths of this harassment, you find out that many more women in a higher percentage suffer from a more grievous and persistent form of harassment than the men. And why is it that there is closure? Why is the attitude different? When a man comes to say that a woman harasses him, the typical thing you will hear is that, oh, it's a smile. If the boys or the men laugh and say, and you didn't enjoy the attention, the show and all that. So you are giving a clap. It's a big thing. For being a hot guy. For being a hot guy. For being the man, you know, for being the ladies' man. But for you, a woman, you know, that you say somebody harasses you, the story turns around. But it means you are loose. It means you are loose. You know, you are not decent. It means you are not decent. It means when you gave it into him. It's only when it became it turned around. It turned against you. It backfired. Then you are now talking about harassment. Or you wanted to get something from him, you are not qualified to get it, and then the cheap thing for women to do is accordingly is to say you have been sexually harassed. So you can see the different strokes for different folks, even in the same issue. Why? Because the man that says that and the woman that feels that is the victim, we are all oriented differently. The man is socially oriented to feel that he's the champion, he's the mean, he's the master. You know, the world revolves around him. And he gets all the men support. He gets all the men support because they are equally oriented so they support themselves. And then the woman, on the other hand, has been socially constructed, you know, and she has internalized an attitude that says that you are the weak one, you should cover yourself, you should be shy, you should not raise your voice where the men are, you should not even sit where the men are. And then every other woman, because the way I have been internalized to feel that is what I am as a woman, she has also gone through that process. You've gone also through that process. And so when something happens, we are like, if there's an aberration, wow, how can you be so loud? No, you know, you're not supposed to be loud. You're not supposed to be talking where the men are talking. Even the women may not necessarily. Look at this current case now. How many women or the women groups have come out to support? All the places where we have seen the stories where you have a story in sympathy, there's also the other side of the story that is so caustic, you know, that is so unpathetic, that is very embarrassing. There is no place in the Bible or the Quran that says that there is a sin defined for a man and a sin defined for a woman. So adultery is only for men, and adultery is not for women, or adultery is for women and not for men. Adultery is adultery, you know. A sin is a sin, you know, by whichever guys you look at it. But when it comes to society, the way we have constructed, you know, the differences between a man and a woman, the woman is always the victim.
Okay, all right. So before time kicks us out, let's look at the theme, you know, for this year, which says for all women. I'm going to go to my colleague Amina to say for all women. This year's theme says for all women and girls, right, equity, and empowerment.
Okay.
Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, it really makes sense, because from what she said, rightly said, as a woman, even though with your power, you can still be degraded because it's a patriarchal society. The society is designed to be a man's society. But as a woman, if you are still empowered, you have your handwork, and you are financially okay and stable, I don't think there's any man that can come to you and don't do just with you. Like Natasha, she's taking this matter to court now. If it's just a regular woman on the street who has nothing to do, how will she push this? So I think if you empower yourself as a woman, we can come together to fight this stereotype against women.
Let me come to the theme itself. For all women, right, equity, and empowerment. We've been talking about empowerment for a very long time. Not today, not yesterday. Where are we getting it wrong as far as empowerment and equity for women is concerned?
You see, the biggest monster in the society is the psychology of patriarchy. Bring out the most beautiful law. Create the best of opportunities. If our mental and social orientation is not reconstructed sufficiently to redefine us, there will be sluggishness in how we move, in how we even know our rights, appreciate them, and utilize those rights. I'll give you an example. You build schools and say this school is for men, boys, and girls. And you say you have water there and everything. Children must go to school. And a family that is oriented to believe that a girl must be married at the age of 15 once she gets to puberty. Once she gets to puberty, she should marry because she's a woman, otherwise she becomes useless. A boy can go on to 18 or 20, you know, that kind of societal thinking. Or no, even when you go to that school, you a girl study nursing, you know, become a teacher. The boy be an engineer, you know, be a pilot.
Okay, so if it's a cultural thing, how do we begin to change that culture to make sure that women, the equity, the empowerment, and every other thing that we talk about takes full effect?
So that culture is, I think it's important to, first of all, create as much opportunities as possible. Opportunities are there, but continue to create them in such a way, because I mean it's a simple thing around supply and
demand. Yeah.
You know, when there is so much supply of facilities, people who ordinarily did not even see it, now they keep seeing it every day. They are intimidated by the sight or by the presence of that opportunity. Somewhere they begin to pull towards, you know, even if it is curiosity that first of all pulls them. So education in terms of that opportunity is very important. Let's continue to open up opportunity where women can have access and men can also have access. And then let us also be begin even within the context. It's not just enough to have that physical structure of education, but also the content of that education, right from childhood, needs to be targeting, understanding between the boys and the girls that you are biologically different. However, you are socially and politically the same.
Okay, all right. And even at that, for when you speak to women, they say we are our own enemy. We don't give opportunities to women like us. That has been the story that has lived with us for a very long time. You've been into this gender activism and all of that. Has it changed where women don't empower their fellow women? They don't give opportunity to their fellow women?
Again,
so that the devils to each other.
Again, you see, my approach to that is the patriarchal, I don't know, the way patriarchy also pushes, designs the way we think is also very sad. So that the women have been made to think that they are the enemies to themselves. The women have been made to believe that they are the ones who don't help each other.
Yeah.
Is it all men that help each other?
Most times.
No, you also find with them. You see, because of the information is not out there. Besides, again, who is even in control of the access to information? Who is in control of the channel of communication? The men. So patriarchy is even inbuilt in the process of communication. So the communication that we get, the infiltration that comes into our heads is that, if you and I are fighting now, see them because they are women. That was found in the pawn shop. Oh la la. So you see, it's all the patriarchal psychology around which the men, the women are all victims of that patriarchal psychology that runs the world, that also dictates how we do politics, has permeated our economy, so that even when you talk about economic distribution of wealth and resources and even the participants in the main economic sphere, you find that again men are the champion, the women are just like the underdogs or they are in a very vulnerable situation. So it all goes down to that. And for me, the best way to change it, like I said earlier, we need to be conscious.
We're going to come the kind of stronger roles that we need to play. Okay. But let me ask my colleague, for young women who are just growing up and they have seen the challenges that older women, their moms, their sisters, their aunties have faced. In a 21st century world, how should young women begin to come up with solutions to navigate these challenges?
If you ask me, what I'll say what I have said before: empowerment, like you rightly said, creating jobs opportunities. Let the supply.
I'm not talking about empowerment. I'm talking about how do you navigate the challenges? Because the challenges are that no matter how empowered you are, the challenges of you will not go beyond this.
Yeah.
It's going to be there.
You're a woman.
Because you are a woman, even if you are the MD or the president of the Senate, the challenges will be there. There are certain things you will not be able to do.
You find it very
difficult to do. So I'm asking you, how do young women begin to say, how do we address these challenges? Because we have seen people. And Natasha will not be the first person to go into sexual harassment. More women have faced it, and more women will face it. And some will even be insulted live.
Yes.
And nothing is going to happen.
Yes.
Even her own suspension, even from the suspension, it will lead to something else because it's a man's world. But how do we come up with solution to say, I don't want to fall into this trap as a woman?
I think it's a mindset, because for men to have this power they have today, we women, we give them the power. So we can take it back from them.
How do you take it back from them?
Come together, work together. It's a collective something. Like if you go on social media today, you see some women bashing Natasha. Oh, you're a woman, what are you doing in the Senate? Why can't they come and work with Natasha? Let's break this stereotype of women are not supposed to be in certain places. So I think it's a mindset. As a woman, as I am, if what I want to do and you want to stop me from doing it because I am a woman, that's where I will stand more on that and I will do it more. And I know I have people that will back me up to get to where I want to be. So I think our mindset, and we should be able to come together to work collectively as women. That's when we can attain the level of.
Let me also add there that.
I'm coming to you. Navigating these challenges has always been a very big, issue. over time. No matter how you find yourself in the society, even according to you, even the president's wife has her own demons, and she's still fighting them till tomorrow. Now, for the woman who will stand up and say, I'm being sexually harassed, and you're not being fair to me, whatever treatment you give me, that's a woman who has the opportunity to even say that. But a woman who didn't have that opportunity to say that. And this was not going to stop here. More people will fall into this victim. I mean, they will fall. A lot of them will fall into it. And it's a man's world. How do we begin to break this jinx of a man's world to say, women, the challenges that are before us every day, we need to come up with solutions, to fight them. A woman who gave birth is only given 3 months to say, okay, take care of yourself from that to 3 months. She has to look for a crutch where to keep her baby. She has to come to work with the baby or find an alternative. And in most workplaces, it's not even friendly. You don't even have a crutch for that particular woman. So the woman has to go through pain for the next 1 or 2 years that baby can walk. These are even more difficult challenges.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is that, and more is being done, women have to first of all learn to understand the power in them, the innate power in them as human beings first of all. That the most important thing is that they see themselves primarily as human beings, but more specifically as women, because there is a uniqueness in them as women. And that uniqueness is uniqueness, not weakness, So women need to consistently and continually, and for some of us like you that are in opportune situation, to mentor the younger ones or to mentor others that do not have the kind of opportunity that we have, we need to constantly let women understand that they are powerful as women. Power as women in a positive direction. And that is the primary thing. If you understand yourself, understand your power. Because one of the issues around these challenges that come up and women are unable to, overcome the challenges is that we get weakened by these challenges. We get demoralized by these challenges. We get deflated by these challenges, believing that this challenge is a big monster, is a big, elephant that has crushed us. We cannot move, we cannot breathe. But we must rise against those challenges by believing in ourselves, in our capacity, And I think that's why I'm coming to say that. You see, the younger generation is beginning to tell that direction. We're having a younger generation now that is more, assertive. We're having a younger generation now that is more, courageous, that is more adventurous, going beyond boundaries, in terms of education, they are now taking the dare. A young girl, female child today, you hear her, I want to be a pilot, and that is what I want to be. You are seeing them in the military, older generation, you were intimidated, you were cowed, you were told that is not your sphere, that is not your lane, there's a boundary. But today you are seeing the younger ones, and what we need to do, the older ones need to do, is to continue to encourage them. At the same time, we also need to work on the male, and let reassure the male, because there is already a threat that the male gender is also feeling. Yeah,
that's where I'm coming from. So because when you talk about power, where do we find a balance between the power of the woman who can achieve anything within her focus, and the threats to the man folks who say, I'm seeing somebody who is coming to dominate me, who is coming to control me, and who is coming to make my life miserable. That's the man there. And she's above me, and all of that. So where do we find a middle ground where the power of the woman and the threat, the assurance of the man, comes together and say, look, we are all human beings first, and that we all have to play a role to make the society better. Exactly. I support you, you support me. Today, let's not shy away from it. Women who are well-to-do, more than the man, makes the man's life very miserable. In most homes, the man can't even open his mouth to say, hey, because the woman will say, I'm the one who pays the rent, I'm the one who pays the bill. And then she kind of influences even the children to say that you're useless father, just leave it.
It doesn't happen in all the cases.
No, I'm just saying that these are the cases
that the woman is trying to put up for herself.
But that is what the men go outside like to say that, look, they've made my life miserable.
Yes.
Just because she has better. A friend of mine who lost her husband just a few months ago, who had cancer, this colon cancer. She spent her life savings, to try and treat him. Unfortunately, it didn't, work, but he passed on. He passed on. And when she came home, when she traveled to Abuja for some work, and she had to continue, she told me the kind of stories that ordinarily, I wouldn't even want to hear. And she said, do you know what they're telling me? They said his mom was telling people that how can she be richer than my son? How can she be dominating my son for so many years? But thank God he's even late, so she can carry with the kid, 5 kids. That's just one person. Yeah. A very, very sad scenario and story. But these are the stories that shape the society. Yeah. Just because a woman is doing well, more than the man, she becomes a threat. So where do we find the middle ground?
So the middle ground is in partnership. Understanding that we are all stakeholders in this world, and that if the world is good, everybody is going to be part of it. If the society is bad, everybody is going to be part of it. When you talk about something like poverty does not, or hunger, let's look at hunger. Hunger does not, when hunger pinches a person, it pinches you the same way it pinches a man, it pinches a woman, right? Hunger is hunger. When death comes, death is death. When sickness comes, sickness is sickness. There is no malaria for a he and malaria for a she, So if we are going to fight malaria, we are going to fight poverty, we are going to make the society better, it's a collective action. And that collective action requires partnership. And I think it's something that it's an ongoing thing, it's already happening. We need to be consistent, we need to be persistent in understanding, having a mutual understanding. There is a conflict, in terms of, there's a gender conflict in terms of how we see the world and how we think we should control the world. But that conflict can also be managed in terms of how you also have a common understanding. So, and that common understanding is to say that, look, like you said, it's partnership. Today you have what you call she, the he and she movement.
He for she.
The he for she movement. Right. It is to say that, look, the women's question cannot be answered from the women's perspective alone or by the women alone. The women are a part of a society. That whatever it is that has created that gender problematic for the woman, the man has a role to play. Therefore, if you are going to look for an answer to unpack or to resolve, that problematic, that man also has to be there. Because there is also a way in which even the woman's weakness also impacts on the man. And the man now, it parts of the man psychologically. So sometimes you find a man that is unnecessarily trying to show ego. I'm a man, so I stamp my feet, you have to be there. It is because the society has also placed an undue pressure on him that, look, you have to be in control. If that woman earns more than you, then you will not be in control. So he takes on to that, psychological thing that the society has ingrained in him to say, what do I need to do? Pull out my muscles, show her, even if I can beat her, if I can be violent on her just to exert myself. It comes out of weakness, it comes out of cowardice, it comes also from a place of a deep weakness of understanding that your role as a man is not about strength, it's not about power play, especially where the woman's issue is concerned, but that it is about understanding, it is about discussion, it is about dialogue, it is about partnership, it is about unpacking what you think the prejudices, it is about laying down on the table what you think, understanding the woman's feelings and the man understanding the woman understanding the man's feelings from a perspective or from the context of, we know we are on a journey together. We cannot get to that place without working together. So we must understand that we are on this journey together. This world belongs to all of us. If the sky is going to fall, it's going to fall on everybody. If there's going to be a flood around the place, it's going to flood on everybody. So how do we sit down together? It's about partnership. It's about collective understanding. It's about working together rather than working apart or working differently in silos. let's come together. And that's what is already happening. Like I said, he for she. Before he for she, there are organizations like Women in Nigeria that believe that yes, the issue is about women, that the answer to the issues of women is not going to come from women alone. And so
the men will have to come up.
The men will also have to be part of that problem.
Okay, as we round up, as we round up now, I'm coming to my colleague. We have a situation today where the women, the younger women, are becoming more materialistic, and the young men are becoming very lazy. So what is the way out?
The way out? Are the women becoming more materialistic?
Of course.
Standing for what they want?
No.
I think the idea right there beforehand is because maybe they think women are being maltreated because they depend on men. So now they're trying to stand up to get what they want for themselves. If you're coming to me as a man, if you're coming to talk to me as a man, I know tomorrow you might be in another woman's room. So I'll try to get whatever I want to get from you so that when you leave me tomorrow, you will not leave me empty-handed. Okay. That's the idea some of them have outside there. But yes, but me, I'll still stand on empowering women for them to be able to stand on their rights. And I really love to add to what she said. In as much as we're here discussing about the patriarchal society, there are still men out there that are ready to partner with women. There are still men out there that are ready to walk this path with women. So let's give them the accolade. It's not all the eggs that are rotten, or how is the adage? I don't know. Not all the eggs are not bad in the basket. There are still men that are ready to take care of the baby with their women. There are still men that are ready to wake up
at what percentage?
We can say
it's a work in progress.
Yeah,
we are consistently, continuously now seeing.
Okay, so how do we bring the good men? How do we get more good men? I support. It's a work in progress partnership. Yeah. We have seen people like Amina Mohammed fantastically doing well as the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, and we have seen Okonjo Iweala. We have seen Mexico having the first female president who is doing wonderfully well. And before even Mexico, the Brazilian woman who was there, I've forgotten her name before.
Then there was Indira Gandhi, there was Margaret Thatcher.
Many of them, Margaret Thatcher's name still stands very.
There was Condoleezza Rice was the minister, was an ambassador.
Secretary of State.
Yes, there was this lady in Canada. There was a prime minister of Canada who was also a woman. So we've had
fantastically women in fantastic position, and even when they left the stage, their work still speaks for them. And that is because they have also very good men who have supported them all the way. I remember the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, who's always, praising these women, always with them, and they speak well of him to say, my president gave me all the support that I needed, even at the international stage. Even Okonjo Iweala, when she was heading for the World Trade Organization, he was there for her all the way. So how do we begin to get more men to support women? If we say we have 20% today, how do we work to make sure that we get a 50% or a 60% in the next 5 years? So because the partnership will not happen if we don't have more men supporting women.
Yeah, so that's the partnership is about bringing in more men into it. And already there are men who are conscious and appreciative of women's rights. So, and it's not too difficult to identify those men. I belong to certain organizations that feminist, organizations, and ordinarily if you hear of the word feminism, you think it has to do with a woman alone, but it's about an ideology, that slants, of course, towards the woman's interest. But then you have men as part of it, and they are very passionate about it. You have men increasingly, for instance, who are now not just working, but also allowing their wives to work, in fact, encouraging them to work. In fact, you have increasingly even the younger generation who are not ready, they're not ready for liability, so they are working as much as they are also looking for educated partners like themselves to also work. We are shifting away from those days, where the man is educated, he could be a professor, and his wife is just somewhere there, and he doesn't do, and he feels very comfortable with it. He's not ready to let her improve in her life, no advancement, nothing. But we are increasingly, you are finding men who say, no, I want partnership. I want somebody who can build a home with me. I want somebody who can understand this my journey. This is where I want to go. And so we need to continuously encourage the people to say that, look, when you bring a woman in, onto the table. She's not there as an enemy. The woman is not there, and the woman also needs to know you are not there to be confrontational. You are there to help. You are there to be a partner. You are there to grow together. You are there to share understanding, and so we could continue this thing with both public education and private education, both public conscientization and private levels of conscientization. We do this by also bringing in role model men, because you're talking about how do we bring them. There are role model men.
Should that be the theme of next year? Role model men, men who
men helping women.
This kind of role model could be what, yes, maybe our own international women do, the Nigerian women do, because it's an international, so everybody can create his own team too, aside from the central team. And so let us showcase men, celebrate men who have supported women over the years, who have stood with women and continue to stand with women. I
think that's very important. But when we do this, it's very important that we look at men from across the class, the social strata of the society. I know of somebody in my neighborhood, who the man was an uneducated security guy working in a government agency until he retired. I got to know them when I moved into that community. And his wife, I always talk about this family because it's a very unique one. His wife also equally uneducated, and what does she do after he retired? The woman today is practically the breadwinner of the house. This woman, completely uneducated, from a very humble background. She's selling her akara, her kosei, and her kunu in the morning. As soon as it is done, because it's usually targeted for breakfast, she shifts into producing her rice and her tuwo for afternoon, and then later she will do her master and all that. And you know what? This woman at that level of her understanding, the husband is there to assist her. I know one funny thing, they are both from Katsina State. The typical notion of a northern conservative, the woman is locked up, she walks outside, because you cannot be selling your inside your room. Nobody will come to buy. So they are in an enclave place, and you see the man who is assisting her. And for me, this is very unique. They are not educated, they are not schooled in the formal setting of school education. I know the funny thing again, the amazing thing, all their 6 children are educated. In fact, the first son that I met some few years ago was already a graduate from the university. So these kinds of men, can also be brought in as a role model. Because if you are showcasing, we don't always also want this thing to be an elitist thing. Because if it is elitist, then the majority of the people, the majority of the people who are at the grassroots level will be disconnected. Like you talk about the woman of how impactful is International Women's Day? What does it mean to her? So we have to find a way to also identify from among them where we can also get role models. And there are, it will be amazed to see some of the incredible things that are happening, at the grassroots level. The way the men are helping their women folks, and it's amazing. I also know of another one that he wakes up, he helps the wife in birthing the children. He is even more educated. He stopped at probably secondary school level. The wife did not even go through primary school level. When he wakes up, he helps her to bathe the children. He helps her in preparing them for school. Of course, she will be in the kitchen preparing the food, and he takes the children to school. Sometimes she takes the children to school.
Ladies, very well said. So, a final word from each of you. What do we say to the woman out there as we celebrate International Women's Day, irrespective of our class? I'm going to start with Amina. One word for the woman out there.
You are a strong woman. Continue to be strong. And we are all there for you. We are going to fight together to remove this note of patriarchy. It's going to be a one world altogether from 2026. We are going to have a world where everybody, irrespective of your gender, you will strive. You attain to any heights you want to in this world.
Yeah, I'll say to the men and the women out there, the world belongs to all of us. if the world is good, we need to collectively join hands together to make it better. If it is bad, we need to work together to make it better. If it is good, we need to work together, partner together, and enjoy the goodies of the world. But partnership is important. The men and the women should strive to be partners in making the world a better place for all.
Okay, and on that note, from all of us here, we're going to see and hope and pray and work that next year, 2026 Women's Day, will bring the very, very supportive men, especially from the grassroots level, and say thank you for standing for our women, thank you for supporting our women, and thank you for being there for our women. So we hope we get more men who are very, very supportive, who are very helpful, and men who are also very respectful to our women. From all of us here, thank you for joining us, and do have a great day. My name is Medina Azaki. Bye for now. Whoops.